right. See you in a bit.
Bye.
All right. I would like to call the March 10, 2021 Elderly and Persons with Disabilities Ad Hoc Committee to order. I'd like to thank everyone for attending today's meeting. We appreciate everyone's time to participate in the evaluation process for this funding program, assisting those who are providing services to the vulnerable population. Now, as a reminder, this meeting is being recorded, which also includes our chat items. As we continue to meet virtually, a roll call will be conducted for introductions and all action items. And now Dee Dee from MAG will do the roll call.
Okay, if you can respond by here, as I call your name. Carol Ballard, Town of Florence. I believe you're on mute. Carol Ballard, Town of Florence.
Carol, if you have joined by phone, you can use the *6 on your dial pad to unmute your phone.
Here, can you hear me now?
Yes, yeah. Thank
okay,
you.
Here.
Okay. David Calloway, City of Mesa.
Here.
Joan Freeman, City of Scottsdale.
Here.
Autumn Groom, City of El Mirage. Kim Perez, City of Goodyear.
Here.
Kristen Taylor, City of Surprise.
Here.
Thank you. We have Vice Chair Dudley, City of Glendale.
Here.
Nathan Williams, Town of Gilbert. Nathan Williams, Town of Gilbert. We have Chair Yabez attempting to log in.
Attempting to log on.
Tom Young, Valley Metro.
Here.
And Wendy Miller, City of Phoenix.
Here.
Vice Chair Dudley, we do have quorum. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Dee Dee. Everyone, just a reminder to please mute yourself when you are not speaking. And when you're making a comment, please identify yourself when speaking. So now on to our first item, which is call to the audience, which is an opportunity is provided to the public to address the committee on items that are not on the agenda within the jurisdiction of MAG or on items on the agenda, but not for action. Please note that the comments received for agenda items posted for action will be read at the time the item is heard. Dee Dee, did we receive any comments for item 2?
Vice Chair Dudley, we did not receive any comments.
All right, no comments. So now we will move on to item number 3, which is the approval of the EPDT Ad Hoc Committee December 3rd, 2020 meeting minutes. Now, has everyone had a chance to review the minutes? And are there any changes? All right, hearing none. Dee Dee, did we receive any comments from the public on this item?
We did not receive any comments, Vice Chair.
All right, now I will call for a motion to approve the minutes.
This is Wendy Miller. I motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Kristen Taylor. I will do the second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All right, hearing none. Dee Dee, will you please do a roll call? Please respond by yay or nay.
Carol Ballard. Town of Florence.
I'm sorry, my phone keeps messing up on me, but what was it again?
If respond by yay or nay to approve the
Yay,
minutes.
sorry.
Okay,
Yay.
thank you. David Calloway, City of Mesa.
Yay.
Autumn Grooms, City of El Mirage. Joan Freeman, City of Scottsdale.
Yay.
Kim Perez, City of Goodyear.
Yay.
Kristen Taylor, she made second the motion. Vice Chair Dudley, City.
Yay.
Nathan Williams, Town of Gilbert. Robert Yabes.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Tom Young, Valley Metro.
Yay.
And Wendy Miller made the motion. Thank you.
All right, the motion passes. Robert, you want to take number 4? Or do you want me to grab number 4?
Go number 4.
All right, so the next item is the overview of the FTA Section 5310 Enhanced Mobility of Seniors and Individuals with Disabilities Program for the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area. Once again, we would like to thank the committee for all the time and dedication and effort for this very important process. So now, Dee is going to provide an overview of the 5310 program, including the outcome of the MAG and the City of Phoenix 2-week internal review, which is not an easy process. So with that, Dee, hand it over to you.
Thank you, Chair and Vice Chair. This program provides federal funds for capital and operating expenses to recipients for public transportation projects planned, designed, and carried out to meet the special needs of seniors and individuals with disabilities. Public transportation projects that exceed the requirements of ADA and improve access to fixed route services and decrease reliance on complementary paratransit and alternatives to public transportation projects that assist seniors and individuals with disabilities. Thank you. Next slide. This is a federal awards program, and the city of the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area has apportionments for this federal grant that comes directly to our region. Eligible applicants are private nonprofit organizations, a public agency where no viable private nonprofit agencies are available, and tribal governments. The eligible populations are agencies serving older adults, age 65 and older, and agencies serving persons with disabilities. Thank you. Next slide. For our process, the committee will be evaluating those applicants that submitted for projects in the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area, which is the blue area, and all of the other areas in our region that are outside of the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area. The Section 5310 application is coordinated and programmed through the Arizona Department of Transportation. Next slide. I just wanted to give you some information regarding the ADOT application for the small urban and rural areas. ADOT, as I noted, ADOT is a designated recipient and program and authority for rural and small urban areas. They have a 2-year process, which goes from 2021 to 2023. The applications were released on February the 4th. Applications are due on March the 18th. ADOT did hold 2 application training for potential applicants. Next slide. The ADOT process utilizes the eGrants application systems. And at this time, they redeveloped their evaluation process, and they're utilizing a rubric similar to our MAG process. Actually, we did provide them a sample of our rubric as an example. The Council of Governments and Metropolitan Planning Organizations panel has 3 representatives from each region. For our region, for the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area, we do have a panel that consists of myself, Ezequias Rocha, a human services planner, and we do have Wendy Miller as a designated recipient. The ADOT review panel consists of ADOT staff, and they have 1 designated COG and MPO representative, and he is Pedro Rodriguez from NACOG. And the overall process is is handled by ADA in developing their priority listing and request for awards. Next slide. Now onto our process. For the 2021 application process for the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area, I would like to take a moment and thank Ezequias Rota and Wendy Miller from the city of Phoenix. This year was a little different, and we were on a very tight timeline. This process also includes CRISA funding that was apportioned for our Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area. And that process is added to our application process this year. Thank you so much for the quick response, and for Chair and Vice Chair, Chair Yabes and Vice Chair Dudley for meeting with us and providing us guidance on this. Our proposal workshop was presented to potential applicants on January the 26th. And MAG and the City of Phoenix staff offer technical assistance on 2 days, on February the 8th and 9th, where we met with new applicants and we made it a requirement that those applying for CRISA funding also attend the technical assistance. During this time, again, I would like to thank everybody. This was a new process. FTA was providing guidance throughout this whole time. So we wanted to ensure that we were providing the correct information and guidance to apply for the CRISA funding. The applications were due on February the 22nd. MAG and City of Phoenix conducted a 2-week internal review from February 23rd to, I say March 9th, which is correct, where we were working into the last minute. Next slide. The outcome of that, we received applications from 24 agencies with 32 project requests. In those requests, there was 13 vehicle requests, 13 preventive maintenance requests, 4 mobility manager position requests, 8 operating project requests. We received 3.1 million total in federal, and that's the federal request, not the total request. We have been apportioned 3.5 million federal dollars that are available. Next slide. For the CRISA applications, we received 13 project requests totaling over $4 million. For the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area, we were apportioned $595,652. Next slide. During our internal review, MAG has a program and agency, and the City of Phoenix has a designated recipient, conducted 2-week internal review. We reviewed applications on completeness and meeting federal eligibility requirements. MAG did contact applications for clarification only on items submitted in the applications, so that when you receive the applications, they are the most complete with the most updated information. Next slide. The results of the review. As you saw in the previous slide, we are federally required to meet the traditional capital request of 55%. If you can go back 2 slides to the traditional capital request. And at this point, with calculating the federal request, we are at $3.1 million. That is a little below what is the 55% calculation for traditional capital. Well, that's the total request, including operating. But at this time, for our total capital request, we have available 1.9 million, and we have a total of $1.5 million in request. So we did meet with the City of Phoenix and the chairs regarding not being, being a little under the 55% that is required. And through our discussion with the City of Phoenix, we determined that at this point, with the match at, between 10% and 20%, that if we lowered the match and did 100% funding, we would be closer to meeting the 55%. Unfortunately, after all of that calculations, we have noted that we are still under about $70,000 shortfall of meeting that 55% capital requirement. And that's awarding all of the traditional capital requests at 100% match. I mean, at 100% the federal ask. Wendy, I don't know if you wanted to add any other information to that.
Thanks, Dee Dee. Yeah. So we know that we're not only going to be under by about $70,000, that's also including us giving a estimated amount of the vehicles. Many times it's less than that when we actually get the final orders. So it'll probably be a little more than that we're short. We did reach out to FTA just to confirm. We've been over our 55% for a lot of years, and we asked if that could count towards future apportionments and to count it collectively, but they said no, each apportionment has to individually meet the 55%. So it's likely what we'll need to do is next year's application, we will have to fund we'll have to fund 55% plus make up for the 55% that we didn't fund this year. So as long as we continue to ensure that the 55% is met, we might have a rollover requirement for future years. We're looking at other ways that we could maybe combat that or address that, but I think that, we do have a way of addressing it and it shouldn't be an issue.
Thank you, Wendy. MAC staff and City of Phoenix staff are working, and we are in communication in how we can best meet that requirement. Onto the CRISA requested funding. We do have an overabundance of federal requests for CRISA. We have approximately $4 million of requests and approximately $595,000 in available apportionments. City of Phoenix and MAC are continuing to look over the CRISA applications and to determine the eligibility of all of the applications, and we're looking at how we can, if there are any requests that can fall under the traditional capital that we can pull to make up that shortfall. We are reviewing the applications, continually. And at this point, I would like to thank Wendy Miller for continuing to be on standby and answering my phone calls and answering all my questions. So thank you on that. We will continue to monitor that. We do have 2 new agencies that did apply, Justice Center and Pearl Transit. City of Phoenix and MAC staff did meet with them. The Justice Center had 2 applications. One was for vehicles and one was for CRISA. Pearl Transit had a operating request entered. Through our review, it was determined that one project request was ineligible under the CRISA application, and that came from the new agency, Justice Center. We reviewed the application and their budget and their request, and it was determined that their requests that they submitted for funding were ineligible, unfortunately. So we are, is there any questions regarding that from the committee? So for discussion later is to whether we would need your approval, whether to move them forward or because they're ineligible to not to move them forward.
Hey, Dee Dee, this is Matt Dudley.
Yes,
So you guys met with Justice Center before they submitted?
correct. And they also attended the technical review assistance.
Okay, so they knew
Vice Chair.
going into it kind of the basics of eligible and ineligible costs.
Yes.
Okay.
They attended the training and they attended the technical one-on-one.
Chair, Vice Chair Dee Dee, this is Wendy. Just to give a little bit of context to the ineligibility, the actual request was we had instructed everybody that they had to be 100% transportation employees that would be covered under this, and that if they wanted to cover non-transportation costs, that those could be taken care of in the indirect line item, which is the additional 10%, the de minimis rate. And much of their request was not 100% transportation employees. It was their executive director, and because those employees do drive, they were trying to allocate a portion of their positions to the cost. So the whole thing was ineligible due to that. It should have been, I'm doing a full-time driver, I'm doing this, and then to cover those other folks. But unfortunately, it doesn't appear that they had any staff that were 100% focused on their transportation program. And that's what made it ineligible.
Thank you,
Thank you, Wendy.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. And regarding Vice Chair, Chair, and regarding Pearl Transit, they did apply for operating for a new service that will be provided to the community. At this time, they do not have currently services in the MAG region, or the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area. Their request is to provide future services in the area. And Wendy, do you have any other comments regarding Pearl?
Sure. When we first met with Pearl as part of their technical application discussion, they were describing their services. The company is based out of New Jersey, and they are looking to basically break into other markets to provide a similar service. They are a shared ride transportation company. They provide actually a lot of different services. What they were proposing was to provide information on rides that seniors and people with disabilities could get within the area already. And for those that didn't have available rides, that they would hire transportation staff and actually give the rides for the gap service that wasn't available. It's just one of those things. You'll have to look at it very carefully, and you'll have to, as a committee, look at the application. It's very, I guess the best way to say it is it's very cart before the horse, because it's very hard to determine if they would be able to provide the services that they say that they're going to when they're not already here. The grant is, very, gracious and great with new agencies that are trying to purchase vehicles and start, additional services, but typically those agencies are already providing those services in our region. So it's kind of a different stretch to provide funding to somebody so they can come here. And I believe in the past on other projects, we did not fund agencies who were proposing projects that were not already in service. So I asked the committee to just consider all those aspects very carefully. It's a little bit of a high risk in terms of federal funding to provide that to an agency that isn't in our region, isn't familiar yet with our services, and it's a little high risk, just a caution.
Thank you, Wendy, Chair and Vice Chair. We did do an internal review regarding Pearl Transit. They do, their request is eligible, but we did, both Phoenix and MAG did have some concerns regarding requesting grant funding for services not yet in the MAG in the area, and also, that we do have precedents that the committee has not awarded applicant requests where they were requesting funding for future services not yet in place. So we just wanted to bring those considerations up to you in your evaluation process. Are there any other questions regarding the new agencies?
Dee Dee and Wendy, so Pearl Transit sounds like they have other functions that they do outside of transit. Are those functions in the Valley, or would this be the first foray entirely for Pearl Transit into the region?
Vice Chair and Chair, yes. They are, their functions, they currently have no functions at all, whether it be providing information or providing transportation services in our Phoenix Mesa urban area at this time.
Okay, so they're not, it almost sounds like funding would say, hey, we'll bring Pearl Transit into the region, but they're currently not existing at all in the Phoenix region that we know of.
Correct.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions, Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. Phoenix and MAG staff will continue to follow up on the CRISA budget information. Again, we appreciate your patience with this. This is a new funding source, and we want to ensure that all of the requests meet federal requirements. We, at this time, we will definitely update you if we do have any concerns regarding those, but at this time, for our initial review, all of the requests are meeting the requirements. We will continue to ask for additional information to help the city of Phoenix in the information that they need regarding budgeting. And we will continue to review funding sources. As I noted before, we do have some shortfall in meeting our 55%. And during our application training and during our one-on-one, MAG and City Phoenix staff did convey to our potential applicants that at this point, we would definitely look for the most appropriate funding source in order to give you in regards of funding awarding. And what that meant was that we will look if you're applying for CRISA and possibly that CRISA eligibility, that CRISA request can follow under the traditional capital requests. We would be able to move that in order to make sure that they get the most advantageous funding award on their behalf. And this is such a moving target, and we are continuing to look over both of these funding sources. We do have for operating and CRISA, we do have more requests than we have available funding. And unfortunately, we do have a funding shortfall for required, FTA required 55%. So City of Phoenix and MAG staff will continue to look over on how we can best meet those requirements for this funding program. Is there any questions before I move on? Next slide. This item is for information discussion and possible action There are two items for discussion is on whether to move forward the Justice Center application. We would like committee approval, whether we move forward or deem it ineligible in lieu of all the information that we provided you during our 2-week internal review. And also that we would continue to look at the best possible funding source for awarding for this year's application program process. But that is all I have. That concludes my presentation, Chair and Vice Chair. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Dee Dee. Is there any discussion on this item? So it sounds like from the review that we have that Justice Center is not eligible. Wendy, you made that definitely very clear, just in the ineligible cost, and that we are going to move forward Pearl Transit for evaluation, but the committee needs to just take a look at, you know, the overall just strength of that project, and we'll just evaluate it just like any other project. But traditionally, we have not provided funding for agencies in the past that were not currently operating service, but we will look at Pearl Transit for its merit. Is that pretty much what am I summarizing that correctly, Dee Dee?
Yes, Vice Chair Dudley.
Okay.
And also to let the committee know that City of Phoenix and MAG will continue to look at the most appropriate funding sources.
Correct.
Okay.
I think the big thing I got from this is that even with that 100% match on the capital side, we're still $70,000 short on the traditional capital, even if we gave everybody 100% match. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
We did look at Vice Chair and members of the committee. We did look at a very high level if there were any project requests that we could move over to traditional. We did find a couple of, I think, preventative maintenance projects, but that would still leave us, you know, that would even make it 50,000. It didn't make that much of a difference, but we would continue to look at all of the requests. And as Wendy had noted, that what we may have to do is do a carry forward into the next year's application process.
And Dee Dee and or Wendy, there's nothing like from previous years that we could carry over that there wasn't enough. There was so many asks in previous years and not enough funding. Can we go back in those previous years and look to see if there's anything there, or is that not an allowable request under the FTA?
This is Wendy. We asked that question and FTA told us no, that whatever we overprogrammed in previous years. I'm sorry, my voice is starting to shake. I yelled so much at volleyball over the weekend, I don't have a voice. We cannot use previously apportioned 55% overages to cover this year. So it could only be next year carried over, and we would have to fund 55% plus any shortfall of the 55% from this year. One thing I think Dee Dee mentioned, and I'll just reiterate it, is that, you know, we are looking at this very carefully, and we will come with some suggested methodology for funding projects from CRISA. Since we're so far over programmed in CRISA, anything that could be eligible under traditional 5310 that would cover that capital gap, we will try to make that happen if these are deemed eligible projects, etc. So based on how the committee scores and you know, we'll come back like we always do with if you funded this way, here's the result. We'll give you some options on, you know, what that would mean, what that would look like, what's the impact, and trying to, as much as possible, reduce that 55% so that we're not handcuffed next year as much with, you know, funding capital that maybe we wouldn't have funded otherwise, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Is there any other members have any discussion on this?
Vice Chair, this is Wendy. There was one other item I wanted to bring
Yes, go ahead, Wendy.
attention of CRISA funding. There were two requests that far exceeded the amount available. We had one request come in at $2 million worth of CRISA requests, and we had another one at like 800,000. And I just wanted to let the committee know that we had, we were asked the question on, you know, what was an appropriate ask, since there wasn't a funding limitation or a request limitation on what they could ask for. So we did tell the agencies that they shouldn't necessarily limit their request, that they could put it in terms of what their needs were. So when the requests come through, they are very strange. You know, the word greedy often comes to mind when we're talking about overworking, but they were told it was okay to express their actual need. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear when you're looking at that.
Okay. No, thank you, Wendy. So yeah, 4 million does sound a lot, but again, this has been a very strange year. So yeah, if you guys can continue, both Mag and Phoenix continue to work to see maybe we can get that $70,000 shortfall from CRISA to be, so that way we're not carrying over anything to the next year. So with that, is there any other discussion? All right, hearing none. Dee Dee, so it sounds like you're going to need a motion to approve the recommendations by the committee and the listing of the applicants to move forward. So can you just kind of give a summary of what you're looking for us to approve, and then I will call for a motion.
Okay. Chair and members of the committee and Vice Chair, in summary, the consensus was not to move forward. Justice Center CRISA requests based on ineligibility of the request, that the committee will look into the consideration of Pearl request application and look at the overall strength of the project. And also that City of Phoenix and MAG staff will continue to look at the most appropriate funding source for awarding for this year's application process.
All right, thank you, Dee Dee. With that said, do I have a motion for approval of the recommendations?
This is Kristen, so moved.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Tom Young will second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, hearing none. Dee Dee, will you please do a roll call? Please respond by yay or nay.
Autumn Jerome, Carol Ballard, from Town of Florence, I can come back to Carol if she's having problems with her microphone. David Calloway, City of Mesa.
Yay.
Joan Freeman, City of Scottsdale.
Yay.
Kim Perez, City of Goodyear.
Yay.
Kristen Taylor, City of Surprise.
I made the motion.
Oh, yes, thank you. Vice Chair Dudley.
Yay.
Nathan William, Town of Gilbert.
Yay.
Okay. Chair Yabis.
Yay.
And Tom Young, seconded. And Wendy Miller, City of Phoenix.
Yay.
Thank you, committee members.
All right, Carol Ballard from Florence. Are you on the line? All right, I'm not hearing Carol, but is that still, we
We
still
still
have,
have over quorum.
we still have quorum. Okay, so therefore the motion passes. All right, we'll move on to item 5. Robert, do you want to take over from here?
So well, keep going.
Oh, well, all right, there we go. We'll move on to
Practice.
item number 5, the review of the 2021 5310 application process and the timeline for the Phoenix Mesa UZA. Dee Dee will now review the section 5310 2020 section 53 application process and the timeline for the Phoenix Mesa UZA. This is for information and discussion only. So go ahead, Dee Dee.
Definitely. And thank you, Vice Chair Dudley, Chair Yabes. This is for information and discussion only. If there is an error on the slide, it is not for possible action. Next slide. Next slide, please. The section 5310 evaluation process, it has the guidelines indicate for the panel members to have having a fair and objective evaluation of the submitted applications based on the evaluation criteria that is provided in our guidelines and in the handbook. For your information, the City of Phoenix did receive information, a request by FTA regarding Title VI populations. We did address this last year and that we included Title VI questions in the question and answer phase. At this time, Title VI questions on minority population has been included into the application when you received it. Also in some language regarding Title VI is also included in the confidentiality form that will be in your packet, that for panel members to take that information into consideration in your evaluation process. We see this as possible being more prevalent in the application process in the coming years. We want to definitely provide information beforehand and be proactive in collecting this information. I would like to, Wendy Miller, do you have any other information that you would like to provide on this?
Yes, Dee Dee, I believe also that we indicated in the criteria a place where you would consider that in your scoring. So there has been added language that says that they would serve, that they serve elderly people with disabilities and minority populations. So if you review your evaluation criteria, it will indicate where you would score them for their inclusion of minority populations.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay. As we noted has the committee members had noted at the last application, at the last meeting, that all applicants will have an opportunity for an interview, and that interview it does have a scoring related to it. Next slide. And here's a timeline for all of the information that we're going to be asking for you regarding questions and scores. So on April 12th, committee questions will be due to MAG staff if you have during your evaluation, and we will definitely accept them earlier if you have them. But this is your opportunity to ask the applicant for clarification only on the application itself. If you have any questions, we do have a matrix for you to put in your question, and then we will forward those questions to the applicants. And the committee will receive those responses on April 19th. We understand that a lot of the committee members like to take in those responses before they submit your preliminary scores, which will be due on April the 22nd to MAG staff. All of this information is outlined on the materials that you will receive. On April 27th and 28th, we will hold the applicant interviews, and the committee at the end of the interviews will develop the priority listing. Next slide. As I noted, applicant interviews are 15 points. The committee can provide us those points after the interview, and we will integrate it into your scores. Based on evaluation scores and available funding, a priority list of projects will be developed. The project request denied based on ineligibility or eligibility, questions on eligibility, or funded conditionally are given an opportunity to solicit feedback from MAG staff. And this is a process that we've done in the past, and we are making available throughout this process. The priority listing moves through the MAG committee process for approval. Next slide. So the EPDT committee develops the priority listing for recommendation for awarding. That recommendation moves through to the MAG Human Services Technical and Community Initiatives Committee, which is made up of elected officials. And then it is forwarded to the MAG Management Committee for recommendation of approval. Final approval is through the MAG Regional Council, which is made of elected officials from all representatives, committee regional members in the MAG area, to approve the priority listing to be forwarded to the City of Phoenix to develop the consolidated application for awarding. Next slide. So applicant interview. Okay. In the review evaluation process, as we noted at the last committee meeting, a conflict of interest would occur when a member's affiliated agency submits an application where the agency is a sole bearer with a financial interest or part of a consolidated application with designated agencies. Members will recuse themselves from evaluating the applications and refrain from participating in the applicant interview while a sitting member of the committee. It is important to note that agencies participating in project requests that are regionally beneficial is not a conflict of interest, and this information is provided in your statement of confidentiality and disclosure. Next slide. Applicant interviews are again on the 27th and 28th. Applicant interviews are 15 points. On day one, we have traditional requests that are 10-minute interviews and mobility management position projects in the afternoon at 15-minute interviews. On day two, we try to have all the operating requests and then the CRISA requests at 15-minute interviews. Because we are doing this virtually, I don't know if the committee would like to continue with the 15-minute interviews for the operating CRISA. We had that timeline in the past to ask more further information since operating is, you know, I don't know what's the word just fell out of my head. Operating and CRISA requests are not as concrete as, you know, vehicles. And then on day two, after we conduct all of the interviews, we will do a prioritization of applications. So that is a question if we want to keep the 15-minute interviews for the operating and CRISA, or would we like to just make that 10 minutes? Also, agencies with multiple requests will be combined and have an extended time of 15 minutes. And I have a question for the committee. Would we like to, because CRISA is kind of its own program, would we like to combine all of the project requests, including CRISA, or would the committee like to interview those projects separately?
All right, Dee Dee, so those who have submitted for CRISA, have they submitted for either operating requests, mobility management, or traditional requests?
We do have some agencies that applied for almost all, yes, including
Okay, so
CRISA.
there's no standalone necessary CRISA applications that we somehow can't tie into either the operating request in
There
day
is.
2 or day 1, unless we want to do that. I'm open to the committee on that, to seeing how we want to streamline that.
Vice Chair, committee members, we do have a few that only ask for CRISA, but it is, I would say it was like 1 or 2 at the most. But most of the agencies have a combined request.
Chair, Vice Chair Dee Dee, this is Wendy. I think just for ease, it would just be easier to schedule the agencies and review all their applications at one time during the interview. And so if we just did, 10 minutes per application type. So for those, if they asked for all 4, if they asked for CRISA vehicles, et cetera, we could give them an extended time. So just based on the number of applications, just give them and schedule them that way might be easiest. And one other comment, if you said it, I missed it. Just to reiterate that the CRISA applications will be scored separately because it's a different funding source.
Okay. No, yeah, Wendy, I like that idea too, of just giving, like, if they have an application, give them a set interval all at once. If they have, operating in CRISA, give them, either 15 or 10 minutes each. Or I think we were looking, says operating request in CRISA at 15-minute intervals as a separate one, or we would say operating request 10 minutes and CRISA at 10 minutes, or operating at 15 and CRISA at 10.
I don't know that we have 15 minutes of anything unless
Yeah.
somebody has, though, that's an awfully long interview time. I find that we're probably done within 5 minutes on several of the, if they just ask for vehicles or something like that, it doesn't have to be a very long interview. So I would say, 10-minute requests, because we're already going to have that opportunity to answer all those questions. Maybe potentially if it's a new applicant where we might have additional questions, maybe that one should be longer than those that have, and I would say even our operational requests are pretty standard. There's not too many new applications for new projects. There's only a couple, and maybe the CRISA and those we could give a little bit longer to because they're new projects or new agencies.
Yeah, that is true. I mean, I think I do like traditional requested 10. Mobility management is usually sometimes a little more in depth. We could keep those at 15, but yeah, with the other ones, if they're just about the same, the operating requests, I think we can leave that at 10. And you're right, Wendy, I think those new agencies, just so, well, I guess there's only going to be really one, it sounds like. Maybe they can have 15 minutes, so that way the committee can get a better understanding, just kind of an idea of what they've done since they are a new applicant. What does the rest of the committee think? All right.
I agree. I think as long as we know which application the interview is for, is having one agency do all of their stuff at the same time.
Yeah, I think that'll make it a lot easier. Definitely a lot easier on MAG staff to get that scheduled.
Definitely, Vice Chair and Chair and members of the committee. So we will keep the process the same. We will keep, traditional requests at 10 minutes. Those with multiple requests, we will have at 50-minute intervals, including new agencies. We will, MAG staff will let the applicants know that if they have multiple requests, that the traditional questions will be for those that are traditional 5310 requests, and then possibly, additional information for their CRISA application after that. Okay,
Okay.
Thank you for your guidance.
All right.
Okay, next slide. Okay. I would now like to introduce Ezequiel Rota to review the application packet that includes the service area maps and the committee confidentiality form. Ezequiel, I think we see your talking points.
All right. Now you see my presentation, right?
We do see the slides,
Okay.
but not your presentation.
All right. Thank you so much, Didi. Hi, Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. I'm just going to go over the SharePoint and where you can find the application packet and all of the information necessary to review the application. So let me just pull it up right here. So just for starters, I just want to let you know that we will send you the link to access all of the documents. And the first page that you should see when you access the link should be this. We do have a password set that will be sent to you as well for you to be able to access the documents. Once you type the password in here and click on verify, then the package should open. Let's see, my internet's a little bit slow right now. Okay, there you go. And here we have 5 different items to go over. The first item that we will start with today is the folder where the application packets will be included with all of the information submitted by the applicants. And it's the folder titled 2021 5010 applications. When you click on it, it will open the files for all of the applications, and these files will be separated by and grouped by each of the organizations applying. So we had a total of 24 applications of applicants, not applications. So we're gonna have 24, we have now 24 folders. In each one of them, I will open the first one just for an example. You'll see that if they applied for more than one type of funding, there will be a separate folder for each one of them. So in this example for Excel, they have CRISA application, preventative maintenance, and the vehicles. And I will open just the first one again. And inside of each one of the types of application, then you will find the application file where there is the form with all of the application responses and supporting documents. That's where they have all of the extra documentation available for you to see. So this is the application packet. I will just open another one for you to see how it will look. For example, this one has 2 different types of application for benefit, so on and so forth. All of the packets are distributed in that format. Going back to the first page that you will have after you put your password, the next folder is the service area maps. In this next folder, what you will find are the maps developed by MAG staff with the summary of service areas submitted by applicants. These maps show an overview of all application service areas within the MAG region by type of application. So we have capital, CRISA, and operating applications, and how their service areas overlay and overlap. For each specific application service area map, so if you're looking for one specific applicant application service area map, then you go back to that supporting document folder that I showed in the previous folder here. So each one of them will have their own map. This is just a place where you can find the compiled maps of all of them. The third file in here is the coordination matrix Excel file. In this file, it's a summary of all the applicants' participation on the coordination efforts. Here you will find the attendance for the transportation ambassador programs, mobility management meetings, and previous application coordination efforts. The next file is the panel member evaluation instructions and confidentiality form. and that is the one that we need you to fill out and send it back to us according to what Didi has mentioned prior. And the last file is the review scores and questions Excel sheet. And that one you will have available the rubric for your scores that you're going to give to applicants, as well as the questions that you submit for follow-up with the applicants. With that, Didi, do you want me to go over this last file?
Thank you, Ezekias. If you could just open it and just briefly, the review scores and questions are the same as they were the previous year. I just want to note Ezekias made it a little bit user-friendly and easy to use. As always, the City of Phoenix and MAG staff scores have already been pre-populated in there, and on all of the for all of the agencies. I just want to have a reminder that the Justice Center CRISA information will not be included based on the recommendation from the committee deeming it ineligible to move forward. And please also a note that if before you open up the applications, if you can forward the confidentiality form to us before you start reviewing the applications.
All right, so here is the review scores and the questions. There are a few instructions for you to go over here. I'm just gonna go to the parts where you will fill out. This is just the selection criteria tab where you'll be able to see what are the criteria and how you should score according to your views of each of the applications. This is the committee questions page where we wanted due to MAG on April 12th at 5 p.m. at end of business, as we mentioned on our schedule. And here you will have all the list of all applicants and all of their applications, and you'll be able to write down their questions that you might have on their applications. Just noting that we have 10, but if you have more questions, you can go over and keep on writing on the columns to the right, and we'll be able to capture those questions as well. For the reviewer scores, we also have the list of all of the applicants and their requests, the type of requests is the amount requested. As Didi mentioned, it is already pre-populated with the MAG and City of Phoenix as the DR scores for the sections marked in white. The sections marked in blue are the ones that you as the committee members will fill out accordingly to your application review. They are open for you to populate with your scores. Then back to you, Didi.
Thank you, Ezekias. I also want to note on your scores, Ezekias put in a couple of filters that if you try to put in a too high of a score that goes outside the points, it will be red. And also once you submit your scores, the box will turn white. And you know, we just want to make sure that is very user-friendly. I know the previous year, please make sure that you do, even we have a couple of agencies that have multiple requests, that you put in your scores to that application type of that project. You know, last year we had, you know, just a little overlapping. And this year we are definitely taking out that the applications that don't move forward. We learned there is a space at the top where you can put your input your reviewer name, and all scores are confidential, just to let you know. So thank you, Ezekias, for improving the scoring materials for us. Are there any questions?
One last thing that I forgot to mention, and we know that for these, we have very few files, but for these we have a lot. two ways that you can download to your computers the applications if you wanted to review them onto your computers instead of online, is that once you open the packets, you can either download each one of them individually by going in here and clicking in download. So just go to the three dots that show right to the right of their name. If you click on it, it shows the option to download. You can download each one of them individually, or of course, you can download all the packets at once. This is a very large amount of data that will be downloaded if you download all of them at once. So I might recommend you to do each one of them as you go through each one of the applications. And you can do this with all of the files, even if you are inside one of those folders and you just want to download a specific file, you can also just click on the right and be able to download the information.
Thank you, Vice Chair, Chair, and members of the committee. That concludes our evaluation presentation.
All right, thank you. So it looks like we have, this is just for information only and discussion. So the two most important things. So if we have questions, that needs to be in by Monday, April 12th at 5 p.m. It can be in a lot earlier if we need it, but our final scores have to be there at Thursday, April 22nd at 1 p.m. Not a minute later. And that we need to fill out our panel member confidentiality form and get that in to you guys probably as soon as possible. Okay.
Correct. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair.
All right. Is there any other, anyone else have any questions? This item is for discussion.
Matt, I know that Nathan had his raised.
Yeah, this is Nate. I have my hand up. So you kind of answered it, I guess, there a bit. Your recommendation is for us to download once we're in the SharePoint site. You recommend the downloading everything and then emailing it to you, or that's what we did last year. But this looks a little more. This looks a little better than last year. Easier to use. But I wasn't sure if we should download and then email to you, or maybe I was unclear on that.
My recommendation is to download, because if you try to make the changes directly on the SharePoint, that change will be available for everybody.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
Good question.
Oh, that's very
good question. Yes.
Yeah, somebody fills that out and then nobody else can fill out their scores. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that. I didn't know if you invented some fancy way to just know that.
Oh, good point, you guys. Yeah, that's download your information before you fill it out.
Chair, members of the committee, Vice Chair, great comment. We will add a reminder when we send out the link. Thank you. Good one.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Hearing none, we're going to move on to item number 6. Robert Yabez.
Wait.
Oh, wait. All right. Robert, you know what? I'm letting you take over.
Yeah, is the closing remarks now? No, I have a question. Do you have a zip copy of the files where you can just download one time?
Let me pull it up again here. Here. So when you go over here, chair, and you try to and you click on this will work as a zip file. So if you click in here and you download, and you click on download, it will download all the folders inside of that. So you don't need to worry about having to download each one of them. It has the same feature of a zip, because the zip, you just don't want to be downloading different files at the same time. If you click in here, it will do the same thing. It will download the whole packet at once.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Yeah, my mic works now.
All right, Robert, perfect timing. There you go, Robert.
Yeah, yeah. Oh. Item 6, huh? My term is up.
Not quite yet, Chair.
Oh, come on. The MAG Regional Council approved the MAG Committee operating policies and procedures for terms of offices to 2-year terms for technical and other policy committees. According to the MAG Committee operating policies and procedures, the vice chair will ascend to the chair position and the new vice chair will be appointed by the executive committee. The chair and vice chair appointments of the MAG EPDT ad hoc committee are due to expire on June 30th. Oh my God, that's still a long time. Letters of interest for vice chair will be solicited. Please refer to the enclosed memo for the additional information. Am I still there?
Yes, you are, Chair Yabis.
Oh God. Sorry.
If I may continue, Chair,
please.
members of the committee, we received notice that the chair position will expire in June. And we were very grateful to have Chair Yabis to be the leader of our group during this time. But, you know, all good things must come to an end. While June, as Chair Yabis did state, is still a couple months away, we would like to get ahead of the process because our next meeting is on April 27th and 28th. The MAG Executive Committee, who will review the letters of interest, will be meeting sooner than that. So MAG is requesting that all letters of interest be submitted by Monday, May the 3rd. Emailed to me, but addressed to Mayor Jerry Wires in care of MAG. It is requested that the letters of interest come from the city or town manager or supervisor copying the city or town manager. Again, it is anticipated that executive committee will approve the chair and vice chair appointments at its May 17th meeting. So we wanted to get this ahead of you because the timeline is for letters of interest is on May the 3rd, and our next meeting will be on April the 27th and 28th. Has Chair Yabis noted, he will be retiring from his chairmanship, and Vice Chair Mike Deli will accede into the chair positions, and we are requesting letters of interest for the vice chair position. The Vice Chair Dudley is from the West Valley. The committee likes to, go from East Valley and have a representative of the West. We have a representative in the East Valley now, so the next representative would preferably be from the East Valley. Are there any questions regarding that?
Yes, Chair Tom Young, I do have one question. If in fact a submittal of the letter of interest comes from a member that is not part of a city, where does that letter come from? So in other words, Valley Metro is not a part of a city, so we don't have a city or town manager. So would it come from the CEO?
Chair, members of the committee, yes, it would come from the CEO, but I can go back and get information and I can update you on that. So let me confirm it with Nathan Pryor, our Intergov representative.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. That concludes my presentation. If there's any other questions.
Yep. Who's next? Who's the next vice chair? Please apply. If you can't get your city manager to recommend you, the Intergov will do it for you too.
And it's not that Phoenix is not willing, but I wear enough hats in this process. I'm sure you guys get sick of me talking.
You're not east or west either, huh? You're centrist, unfortunately.
That's right.
We would love to have you serve as one of the as a vice chair.
I told Dee Dee only if no one else.
Anything else, Dee Dee?
That concludes my presentation, Chair, members of the
Okay.
committee.
Thank you. Please remember and don't forget to submit your application, your letter of interest. I'm sorry. Item number 7 for the agenda. Any requests for future agenda items? Hearing none. We're moving to item 8. Comments from the committee?
Chair, I got a couple comments. This is
You're
Vice
not
Chair.
allowed. You're already used to
I know, I talked a lot today. But I still have my voice. I wasn't yelling over the weekend. Wow, great job, Dee Dee, Hezekias, and Wendy. That you have changed this program a lot in just 1 year, and with COVID, out there. I really do appreciate all the hard work. And then we threw Krissa in there at the end as a curveball, just in case. But I want to go on record making sure that MAG and City of Phoenix, you guys are doing a fantastic job for this program. This program has, just really been, the bar has been raised from the previous years that we have. I mean, it was already a good program. I was just thinking, Hezekias, as you were talking, how we used to have boxes and boxes of applications that the committee would have to go into MAG, and almost have to bring down a couple of cases to my car. I have to bring my big city car for that one. But I'm so glad this has been streamlined. The process that you guys have put in place the last 6 months has been really, really great. Especially engaging the committee on these issues. And I just want to go on record to thank you guys a lot. You guys have really done a great job, especially this last year. And Wendy, as the designated recipient, I know, Wendy, you wear many, many hats over there at the City of Phoenix, and this is just one of your jobs. We really do appreciate City of Phoenix as the designated recipient, really taking on this role and really helping us to make sure that we are straight with the feds. So that is all I got.
Thank you, Vice Chair.
I second that. Any more comments? Yeah, I remember those boxes of printed materials getting dragged into my office.
Lots of boxes.
That is something else. It has moved a lot for the better. That is for sure. And what I appreciate also is that Wendy doesn't favor the City of Phoenix. She tells them, actually, they're more in disfavor than the rest of the applicants in this process. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate that, that you guys have worked on this so well. And then, it's probably going to get better again next year, but we keep moving forward. Thank you for all the work that you've done.
Wow. Thank you very much.
Any other comments?
Just wanted to let you guys know that my daughter finished 4th in her volleyball tournament out of 142 teams this weekend. So they did really well.
Wow. And that was what, in Florida, right?
Yes, Orlando.
Orlando. Wow. Wow. She's really good.
Yeah. That is amazing. That is amazing.
Chair, members of the committee, I would also like to thank you for the acknowledgement. You as a committee panel have such a heavy lifting of reviewing all the applicants on behalf of the Phoenix Mesa Urbanized area, and whatever support that we can give you in doing that. We know you have other jobs to do other than reviewing all these applications. So we really appreciate the acknowledgement, but we're here to support you.
Oh, gosh. All right, anything else? The last item on our agenda is for adjournment. Is there a motion?
Chair, this is the vice chair. I will move for adjournment.
A second?
Joan Freeman, I'll second.
All right. Thank you. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.